Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to explain in a detailed step-by-step way how to use ghosting to achieve excellent balance between the hands at the piano. And this is typically how you would, in the end, play, for instance, the right hand much louder than the left hand, or the melody much louder than the non-melody, so that the audience can really understand what it is that they're listening to, so that they can understand what you're showing them. And this typically makes it much easier to be musical, expressive, emotive, and so on. And on this channel, I hope to share with you strategies, thoughts, methods, etc., often of my own creation that I hope will help you in your piano playing and hopefully even in other areas of your life as well. So in my mind, the ideas of balance and voicing, these concepts, they really are synonymous. It could be that the melody, right, the part that people would typically sing or hum after they listen to a given piece, that's played more than the non-melody. We could think about it in that way. It could be that one hand is played more than the other hand. It could be that there are three different melodies, believe it or not. We can sometimes play three different melodies at the same time at the piano, and one of the melodies is louder than the other two melodies. It could be the left hand is more than the right hand at certain times. It could be that you play a chord or any kind of simultaneity, and the top note of this four-note chord, for instance, is louder than the other three notes. So really it's just one thing noticeably louder than the other things, and there could be different layers to it. But in any case, in this video, I'm mainly just going to talk about one hand louder than the other, and specifically the right hand more than the left hand, because it's, of course, a fairly common scenario. I did not come up with the idea of ghosting, but I feel that it could be explained in a slightly more detailed manner. In my mind, the general idea is in playing one hand really nice and loud and the other hand literally silently, so you can't even see the other hand really. And if you can do this, then you start to play around such that you hear like little bits of very quiet, and then the right hand's still really nice and loud, then it's consistently very, very quiet, and then you can kind of play around with this. Like I'm not a sound engineer, so I don't really know exactly how it works, but I kind of imagine like toggling the volumes of these hands. So if this is really soft, then I can also tone down the right hand a bit, then we can add other bits of musicality. I feel that sometimes the idea of ghosting is explained just in, play the right hand loud and the left hand is, let's say, silent, and then just suddenly you can do the balance really well. And there might be some intermediate steps or explanation that could be helpful. And when I say silently, I mean that a lot of the time I'll explain the same way. Maybe the left hand is tapping literally silently with no sound on the surface of the keys, and then we want to make that transition into the very quiet. So I'm going to use a passage, probably going to use some passage from Spirited Away in a number of different videos from One Summer's Day, and this is by Joe Hisaishi, an amazing composer, of course. So I would say that the first thing isn't just playing this nice and what I think of as all loud. I do have a long form video. If you search David Chang all loud, there's more to it. I mean, basically it's a nice, relaxed, neutral loud. So we won't worry about fancy musicality at all in the beginning. I'm going to play basically like this. That's probably enough of a passage. And really each of the hands, I'm just playing a nice, weighty, relaxed, loud. If you want more of my thoughts on relaxation and so on, you can also search David Chang, holding and relaxing. You can search for hand shape and orientation. You can search for three-dimensionality and movement, for healthier wrist, arm movements, and so on. But anyway, the focus of this video, of course, is the balance between the hands. So the first thing is, can you, in a nice and relaxed manner, play nice and loud? Because we want to preserve this quiet confidence and groundedness. A lot of the time, why people can't play very softly, ultimately, in the end, is because they are holding up all of their weight artificially. So if I try to play the left hand quietly, I'm holding up my weight. It's like walking on eggshells. And in this video, I'm basically talking about how can we keep this nice, confident groundedness and then change the left hand so that it ends up playing very, very quietly instead of loud, while keeping the right hand loud, of course. So I'd say the first step is just to play this nice, grounded, all loud. The second step, I would say, is the actual ghosting. And so the ghosting here, this is what I mean, where I'm just tapping silently on the surface of the keys. So yeah, it looks like this. I'm not even letting the keys go down. I'm just tapping them like this. I actually go into this in a lot more detail in another video that I think it's just called How to Play the Piano Extremely, Extremely Softly. If you search my name, Extremely, Extremely Softly, I'm sure you'll find that video. So if you want more nuance in how to play soft in general, because I talk about how to do that with both hands, search for that video, How to Play Extremely Softly, with my name. But in any case, basically, instead of tensing up the shoulder or anything, just like when I was playing nice and loud and relaxed, when I play silently on the surface, my shoulder and arm, it should not look any different. Like if this were a silent video, if you muted this video and I'm playing nice and loud, and then I'm playing silently on the surface, like this part should not look different. I shouldn't be tensing my upper arm or anything. It's just as relaxed. And so I'm going to try to achieve this while playing the right hand nice and loud. Okay, I'm going to lower my right wrist a little just so you can see this even better. Something like this. Now in the beginning, this might be hard even to coordinate. You might want to do it in very small sections. Even just one note, this note loud, this note silent. Or you can isolate very tiny sets or sections. Separate hands, both hands, one silent, the other nice and loud, making sure that this is every bit as relaxed, even though the keys are not even going down here. Okay, and then I would say that the third step would be, believe it or not, I often will tell students, try to play silently again, but now make the key go down very slightly. I don't think you're even going to be able to see this, so I'm going to show you the other view in a sec. So this is what I mean. So step 3 really is try to make the, didn't mean for any sound to come out. So you can see, like, I'm making the keys go down very slightly, but it's still genuinely completely silent, ideally, like no sound. And then we see, like, can I achieve that? So I'm making the keys go down very slightly, but it still is completely silent, and the right hand is really nice and loud. Now, you are likely going to have to spend some time in step 1 and step 2 so that you can get comfortable. A lot of the time when people try to play silent in one hand or ghost one hand and play loud in the other, the right hand will get a lot softer, for instance. Like if you're going like, you're going to have to spend more time practicing right hand alone, nice and relaxed. You can look at my, again, All Loud with Accents video on my channel. You can look up Holding and Relaxing for more ideas there. And then, of course, you mix in the silent, the step 2. And then step 3, again, is playing silently, but you can try to make the key go down a little bit, but it's still silent. So if you're not getting this, I would practice this in very small sections. I would spend more time in step 1. I would actually use aspects of my logical methodology. Like if you look up my 14 layers of strategy, I talk about practicing separate hands. I talk about practicing in very small sets. I talk about adding in reverse. So you might need to use logical, strategic decision-making to help you. Now, here's really, I guess what I'm calling step 4 in this video. This is my little trick. Assuming the student's still relaxed, assuming they did the first 3 steps well, now I'm going to say, okay, try to play silently again, but go a little bit more into the key. Now it's kind of, I'm not trying to be disingenuous, but it's kind of a deceptive instruction because at some point it is impossible to not make sound. If you go a little further into the key, you're going to inadvertently make little tiny bits of sound, like that little tiny bit of sound I accidentally made earlier. So I go a little more into the key. You'll see that if before it was silent, Now if I go a little more into the key, some of the sound is going to come out a little bit, and then I try that with the right. I still try to stay completely relaxed here. I go back to the other steps if I'm not able to stay relaxed. Ideally, this is totally loose and free. So those little bits of sound that are almost accidentally appearing, when a student does this, I'll normally say, that's the sound that we're looking for. When you accidentally make a little bit of sound, because you're going just a tiny bit more into the key, but never to the bottom of the key, only at the very surface or to the middle of the key. Now, I think we're on step 5. The 5th step then is to, of course, more consistently get that very soft. Because if a student does this, they're like, okay, I'm going to try to play soft now. I'm usually like, that's too loud, like right away. And it's too loud because it's already going to the bottom. I can hear that it's quite a bit louder than that surfacey touch that we were getting earlier. And so again, keeping this completely relaxed, we just want to more consistently get this sort of a sound, ideally. And it's difficult because if you hold up your weight like this, the notes are not going to consistently come out. So we're looking for that. So you're going through these steps in a logical way, and then hopefully if steps 3, 4 are going pretty well, you're tapping on the surface well, you're going a little more into the key, and then you're getting little bits of sound, and then you just go a little bit more such that it's more consistent. You're still keeping the right hand really nice and loud. So this is sort of the baseline result of ghosting. So it was silent, and then now it's just very, very quiet. And again, you can look at my how to play the piano extremely, extremely softly video if you want more details along these lines. Like I said, because it's so important to stay relaxed, that holding a relaxing video is really useful as well. And yeah, so I would say that I think some of the other advice I've seen, they don't really talk as much about that transition from the silent to the extremely quiet. So I hope that that's helpful. And all the while I'm trying to keep the right hand really nice and loud. The other bit of info that I thought would be hopefully really helpful to you is the idea of combining what we're doing here with other aspects of the physical methodology, such as the holding and relaxing, but also with logical ideas, like practicing not even one measure or half a measure, but even quarters or eighths of a measure, little tiny sections, or even one note at a time, or one chord or one simultaneity at a time. If you're having trouble with any of these steps, so you really want to break it down, break it horizontally in terms of separate hands, break it vertically in terms of practicing quarters or eighths of a measure, or even single chords or simultaneities. And well, I mean, this was the main point that I wanted to get across in this video. What are the steps beyond step 5? I would say if you can play one hand really nice and loud and the other hand really nice and, really, really softly, now you can, like I said before the right hand's here and the left hand's silent. Well, now, and then it was little bits of quiet, and now it's consistently very, very quiet. Well, now we can tone down the right hand. So if it were like this before, playing that note, sorry. Now I can play this softer. So this is softer but still louder than the left hand. And then I can, for instance, add in some shaping in the right hand. So now the right hand's still a little more than the left, but there's also some ups and downs to it. Maybe there's some very subtle shapings in the left, and then I can add pedals. So I'm trying to keep the left hand, for the most part, extremely, extremely quiet, and then the right hand has these little tiny shapes up and down, little crescendos and decrescendos, but still at a level that is a little bit higher than the left hand. And I'm just layering on those bits of musicality little by little. So I really want a nice, healthy, obnoxiously loud right hand above the left when I'm doing the general ghosting exercise. So because from there, then I can add additional layers of detail. I can tone down the right hand, I can add nice shaping, I can add pedaling. So I hope this is helpful. Let me know what you think. If you did find it helpful, please like, subscribe, let people know about the channel, and looking forward to the next one.